plug it into your SI. May I get everyone to go to F2? We're going to close off chapter 8 and 2 more chapters to go. Time flies. Okay, welcome back. Today we are nearing the end of the chapter of reproduction. Before I close up the chapter, I'd just like to recap what we've done so far. We started off first by learning about the structure of different reproductive systems, from human repro system to plant repro system. Under the human repro system, we learn about the male and female parts. The plants, we also learn about male and female parts, but in terms of flowers. That lesson, we sort of dissected a blue pea flower, remember? Following which, we then moved on from structure to function. More specifically, we paid quite close attention to function of human repro system, where we look at the menstrual cycle. That's where you encounter all the graphs that perhaps is the most challenging part of this chapter. Okay. Other aspects of function, we also look at fertilization. And on this note, we also looked at it from a human and plant perspective. which was what we covered last week. Yeah, we did a quick comparison of how plant has, for example, double fertilization, whereas humans just one. Today, we're going to move on from fertilization to look at post-fertilization. We looked at this a little bit last week in terms of plants, where we ate fruits. Yeah, because we're looking at the structure of fruits. That's really the post-fertilization of plants. But what about humans? What is the equivalent of a human fruit? Well, it's your mom's. The baby is not the human fruit. The baby is just like in a seed, there's a baby seedling. In the case of humans, I think our closest thing is your mom. That's the fruit. Okay, so that's where we are today. We're going to look at how we as human beings once started off. And that's where we'll end up. We end up where we started by looking at the human reproductive system. First and foremost, we're going to kickstart today's lesson by looking at what happens when post-fertilization, after a sperm fuses with an egg. SLS has deemed this video unwatchable on SLS rated M18. But not really. When I click on the video, actually the video we chose is not M18, it's just okay. Maybe SLS don't think it's suitable. Age group, wrong age group. But don't worry, it is not real one, it is all animation. Quite realistic animation. Okay, so let's have a look at how the journey we took right after the sperm fused with the egg.
Medical Art Library, or NMAL, where you can download this animation and thousands of medical images and videos created by Nucleus Medical Media. To apply for a free 30-day trial, click on the link in the description.
Pregnancy is the time period during which the baby develops inside your uterus. It usually lasts about 40 weeks, starting from the first day of your last menstrual Nausea, often called morning sickness, that can occur at any time of day. Tender swollen breasts. Mood swings. Constipation. Weight loss or weight gain. Craving or disliking certain foods. And feeling more tired than usual. You may have only a few of these symptoms, or none at all. If you have any questions about how your baby is developing, or concerns about how you're feeling, talk to your healthcare provider.
Anyone watch childbirth? Okay, let's go to childbirth. It's not complete, right?
Because back in 2017, during a business trip to Japan, I had a chance to have lunch.
During a vaginal childbirth, the first stage of labor lasts about 12 to 19 hours and starts when your baby settles lower into your pelvis. In response, your cervix begins to efface or become thinner and dilate or widen. During this time, you may feel strong, regular contractions occurring every 5 to 20 minutes, and lower back pain and cramping that doesn't go away. You may see a brownish or reddish mucus discharge, which could be a mucus plug at the opening of your cervix falling out. Your water may break, which can either be a large gush of fluid or a continuous trickle. If you experience any of these symptoms, contact your doctor or midwife to see if you should go to the hospital. At the beginning of stage 2 of labor, which can last from a few minutes to 3 hours, your cervix is fully dilated to 10 centimeters, and your baby's head has moved beyond the cervical opening into your birth canal. During this stage, you will begin to push your baby out. You may instinctively push when you feel the urge, or you may need coaching from your doctor, midwife, or labor nurse as to when to push and when to rest. In a normal delivery, your baby's head will rotate to face your back. During active labor, your uterus is divided into an active segment that contracts, pushing the baby downward, and a flexible passive segment that remains relaxed, stretching to provide more room for the baby to pass through. In some cases, when the top of your baby's head appears or crowns, your doctor may make a small cut called an episiotomy to enlarge the vaginal opening. Then you will continue pushing your baby out. As your baby's head passes through the birth canal, it molds into an elongated shape. An elongated head shape will resolve itself within a few days as the skull bones shift back into place. After your baby's head exits the birth canal, his or her head and shoulders will
Why
rotate
everyone laughs
to
at
help the
this
shoulders pass through the birth canal. Your baby's shoulders are delivered one after the other in order to fit through your pelvis. Once the shoulders emerge, the rest of your baby slides out easily. After your baby is born, his or her umbilical cord will be cut. In stage 3 of labor, which may last 5 to 30 minutes, mild contractions will help push the placenta out of the uterus. During this stage, you and your baby may begin bonding through skin-to-skin contact and breastfeeding.
Are you all excited? Okay. I'm so excited for many of you. Yes. Oh, okay, in a while. How do they cut umbilical cord? Because no sisters. In a while, from what I observed when I watch those nature documentary, when they give birth, the structure called the placenta comes out along with it. Sometimes the baby will still have this bag of blood they carry around. Sometimes the parent will bite the umbilical cord to sever it. Yeah. A lot of times in a while, the animals will eat their own placenta to get back the nutrients. But we'll talk about what placenta is in a while. Just a quick recap. So the journey we are at so far, we're somewhere over here. Okay, beyond is where we are at today. So first and foremost, we learned that the testicles as well as the ovary are sites where we produce our sex cells, either sperm or egg. A term I'd like to recap with you is the word haploid. Okay, haploid. Haploid means that you only has one set of chromosomes. What does it mean by having one set? One set means if I were to type 46 chromosomes, okay, if you go online and search for 46 chromosomes, this is what you likely see. Here, human beings, we have 46 chromosomes. Or in other words, 23 pairs of chromosomes. Here you see one pair, here you see another pair, here you see another pair. When we say a cell has haploid number of chromosomes, we mean that it only has one of each pair found inside. Okay, so this is a diploid example. Let's see if we can find haploid. Haploid. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic example. On the left, you see diploid number. Diploid, 2 of each set. Here, you just see one set. Okay, so that's what it means, 23, if you're going to see haploid in humans. So if we go back in time, in the testicles and the ovaries, each cell is present inside should have a full set of chromosomes, 46. Can you tell me what form of nuclear division would result in haploid cells? Yeah? Meiosis. So the word is meiosis. Meiosis results in haploid cells from full set to half a set. Okay? Just spell meiosis for me. Yes, sir. Where is the I after the E, is it? Okay. Okay, so take note. We only produce sperm and egg using the process of meiosis. Later on, after the sperm and egg fuses back together, we get back the full set. And this makes sense, therefore, why we need to halve the number. Can you imagine we don't halve the number? A sperm with 46 chromosomes, an egg with 46 chromosomes fused together, we're going to end up with 92 chromosomes. Way more than we started off with. With every generation, each baby is going to get more and more and more chromosomes. Very crowded. So it doesn't work that way. We need to halve the number before we fuse together. So that is why we go through the meiosis process. And so this is where we are today. What happens after we form this diploid zygote? Then we employ the next form of division, mitosis. You learn mitosis, you will end up getting cells with the same number of chromosomes. So if I were to extract out one of the cells from here, you'll find that it is the same number of chromosomes inside. Okay? Earlier on in the video, you also encountered a word called blastocyst. If I were to rewind the video, I think you should be, let's show you the structure.
This animation is brought to
Okay, this structure over here, this is a blastocyst. Blastocyst refers to a ball of cells. This is the very, very early stage of you. No eyes, no nerves, no heart, just a multicellular organism. The very, very beginnings of multicellular. It is from here onwards that the exciting part begins. The blastocyst will then implant itself on the female's endometrium. Endometrium, or in other words, you may have encountered endometrium. Another word for it would be the uterine lining. This is the layer lining. This is the layer that gets ejected every month. The period. Okay? But if this blastocyst exists and it implants itself, you'll find that the lady does not go through her menses that month. And that's usually the first sign that there's a baby. Okay, but it's not the only sign. Sometimes you're very stressed, right? And also no period. Doesn't mean you got a baby. Yes?
Is that why, because of implantation, is that why internet says that sign of pregnancy is light bleeding?
Like what?
Light bleeding.
Light bleeding.
Because of implantation.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yes, I know it's because of implantation, but I don't know how the implantation results in slight bleeding. That is a good question. I have no idea how. It could be because as the baby, this multicellular blastocyst is implanting itself, that it may, through the implantation process, cause some blood to come out. But I'm not so sure on the mechanism. Okay, but it's from here onwards that the exciting part begins. This is where baby really starts to develop. This is where baby becomes a full-grown parasite that extracts nutrients from mom. So a few words I'd like to introduce to you that you can find in your textbook. You scroll to your section of your textbook on reproduction. I'd like you to search for the section on, whoa, that's close. Nearly open exam. That's okay, it's a JH1 exam. It's not yours. I haven't said yours yet. Okay, could you go to this part of the textbook? 7.2.6, if I'm not wrong. 7.3.6, development of the embryo. There are some new keywords that I'd like to introduce to you. You would encounter these two words, embryo, as well as fetus. Okay, the embryo and fetus is just a difference in name. Still the same being, just different stage of development. The very first stage would be the embryo. The embryo, as you saw earlier on, look nothing much like a human being. It's more like a human being, in fact. Right? More like a being, human being. At the very early stage of the human being, in fact, it looks like a tadpole, correct? Believe it or not, if you were to go back in time for a lot of mammals, big dog, dolphin, elephant, at the very early stage, everyone looks kind of the same. In fact, you almost cannot differentiate between a dog, elephant, dolphin, and a human embryo at the very early stage. We all look very similar. That's also one of the evidence that scientists believe that can be used as evidence that perhaps we all shared a very common ancestor a long time ago. Okay, so at the very early stage, that is the word embryo. You see the word embryo? It means it's very, very early, like tadpole like that. But eventually, this human being, this embryo will start growing more and more and more. And then you'll get a larger being called the fetus. Okay, forgive me. Okay? The fetus. It's called fetus. Okay? That was you once in a while. Once in a long time ago. Maybe you want hair. A lot of us are born, no, they are born with hair now. I always thought baby come out bald, but actually they got quite a lot of hair. Okay, the fetus. Very cute. Last time when I taught this in JH2 once, I don't know how a student can write down the wrong thing, write down feces. So I asked them what's the function of the uterus. They say to store feces. Then there was one time also, this one is primary school, JH1. Last time when we taught in JH1, the reverse happened. They say that the rectum is where you store fetus. But you all know it's wrong hole. So it will be very painful if you try to shit out a fetus. Okay? So the fetus is just a much later stage. Okay? These are some keywords. Do I expect you to know how the baby develops? No. You want to learn more? Go and study medicine next time. Then there's a field that studies development of an embryo. There is a lot to study. As you all know, it's very important that a baby hits full term. We want a baby to reach good health. So this is a very big chapter on its own next time in university. You study medicine. For us, we are more interested in how the embryo develops fully into a fetus. How does this baby get nutrients from mom? So that's the scope for us. We need to know how baby gets nutrients from mom so it can develop fully. But before we do that, let's look at the plant perspective. If we look at the plant, we know that we end up with a seed. Yeah? If I go back in time, maybe pre-seed, we have the stigma and then the ovary. Inside, we have ovule. Okay? So this is a plant with just one ovule. Inside the ovule, we find that there is, number one, the egg. On top of the egg, we also have a structure, another cell containing the polar nuclei. So let me just label all these parts. Polar nuclei, and then egg. And we just learned last lesson that when double fertilization occurs, so sperm number 1 fuse, sperm number 2 fuse, we end up getting different structures. First structure, if sperm and egg fuses together, we end up getting the baby plant. So here I'm drawing a baby plant, trapped inside the seed, waiting to burst out. Okay, so that's a baby plant. Number 2, when the sperm number 2 fuses with the 2 polar nuclei, we get another structure. This structure surrounds the baby plant. It's called the triploid endosperm tissue. And its function is to supply nutrients to this baby plant, keep it alive, give it enough energy to burst out of the seed. And believe it or not, we actually call this baby plant an embryo. Yeah? It's also called an embryo. So embryo is, in other words, a baby version of a living organism. So plants have a plant embryo with triploid endosperm tissue supplying it nutrients. But what is the human version? How does an embryo get nutrients to grow? Any guesses? Yeah, we all know lah. Okay, we all know. Hey, you know the scar tissue you have over here? You know here got no belly button one. You got few? You want double check? You want a few smooth one over here? That would be quite mind blowing, huh? You let me know. I'm very curious. I've never met anyone with no belly button. Huh? Well, that means you come from where I don't know. Delivered by a bird to your parents. Okay? So everyone should have this scar over here. You once connected to mom via this tube, which is the umbilical cord. So let me draw the umbilical cord now. The umbilical cord connects baby to mom. Okay? So your role as a student, I expect you to know how baby gets nutrients from mom. Because we know how a plant embryo gets nutrients, gets it from the triploid endosperm tissue. But what is the human equivalent? For that, I'd like you to think a little bit. There is a slight problem if we directly connect baby to mommy. So imagine now in mom's endometrium or uterine lining, we find lots of blood vessels of mom. I'd like you to brainstorm now. What are some problems if I directly connect baby's blood vessel to mom's blood vessel? Okay. Right? We have umbilical cord, right? The most logical thing is must be got blood vessels inside the umbilical cord connecting to mom. Like power plug like that. Okay? But what are some problems or issues if we directly connect to mom? Okay, quick buzz among all of you before we discuss. Yeah, so as from egg and sperm fuse together, from zygote, the zygote will develop. I don't know if there's the word blastocyst exists in plant version, but definitely it will start off as a small ball of cells first.
You know that there's some babies that require to be fed.
Okay, everyone has to think, huh?
Because the
What's the
baby
issue?
slowly like then it's like
Okay, so what are some problems if we directly connect baby's blood vessels to mom's blood vessels? Karen, you want to say something? I can go from here.
the difference in like pressure.
Okay, difference in pressure. Could you elaborate what you mean by that?
Maybe the baby side the pressure very low, then the mom side the pressure very high, then the blood push.
How do you infer that baby will have a lower blood pressure?
Because less blood vessels.
Fair enough. Smaller blood vessels, smaller heart even. Yeah, you connect one small heart directly to a bigger heart, right? Mom's one pump how to pop baby's small heart. Okay? Okay? Blood pressure is a problem. Finya, you wanted to say something?
Why the mom is like HIV, then will pass on to the baby?
Okay, so perhaps it has to do with the immune system.
And like the mom's immune white blood cells can attack the baby because it's foreign material.
Fair enough. Okay, immune system. Mom's blood may think baby is a foreign virus or bacteria. Yeah. So this direct connection, because if we connect both blood streams, mom's white blood cells flowing through a bloodstream could think that baby is a foreign invader. Actually, it is it's extracting nutrients, no? Yes. Okay, Shafika says A. How about blood types? It's a serious problem. We learned last year, right? Blood types don't match. Then we have an issue. Imagine, once you connect all, maybe you become one ball of clogged up living organism. Every blood vessel is just clogged up. Just one hard and solid. Okay? Unless same blood type, there's no issue. But how many of you here the blood type different from parents? Okay. Yeah? So you would have not made it you have clogged up, coagulate within your parent. Any other issues? Cannot what? What do you mean cannot cut? Oh, are you saying that if it's directly connected, to take baby out, we have to cut, then mom may bleed to death, is it? Oh, okay. So, how you are saying the blood vessels are directly connected. If you were to make a cut, the blood loss may be quite significant to both. I never thought of that, but I guess so. If like baby is directly connected to mom, then try to pull out. I also don't know how to pull out, right? You either pull out very hard or you have to cut. Then will mom bleed out? It's a good question. Okay. Any other problems? Kara?
Maybe like the cord is like a filter, so the waste doesn't end up going there.
Oh, say again. What about weights?
So that the mom's waste material doesn't end up going to the baby.
Oh, okay.
The cord is like a filter.
Right. What about waste? Okay, what do we do with the waste? We don't want mom's waste products to go to baby also. That makes sense, yeah? Okay. Other than that, let's talk about what baby might need. So what will baby need to grow? What will baby need to grow? Nutrients, okay? We definitely need nutrients. Water. Anything else?
Take out the waste.
Okay, we need to remove waste from the baby. Okay, so a lot of things that needs to be done. Anything else that we need? Oxygen. Okay. How might we achieve all of this? Sorry, Shreya? Filtration. Okay, interesting. I do agree there is some level of filtration taking place. Especially when you look at waste products, we don't want mom's waste to go to baby's waste, right? How do you think baby gets oxygen? Open the mouth, then take a deep breath within mom, like a fish like that, like gills, then yeah. Okay, could it be from mom's blood? Okay. Assuming there's some direct connection. So how will baby get oxygen, right? Okay, just let you all know, you all never open your mouth inside and then liquid was not going to your lungs. We are not fishers, so we cannot extract oxygen out from our lungs in water. Yeah? So, I'm just saying, you did not breathe your first breath until you came out. So how in the world do you get oxygen? Yeah? Is it amazing? I think that's why they are a bit scared if when baby come out, don't cry. Because crying requires you to take a deep breath and you right? So if you don't scream or anything, right, that means you're not breathing, right? So a few things have really settled. Need nutrients, water, need remove waste, oxygen. Okay? Believe it or not, everything is resolved through the connection. Okay? So number one, we need to connect. But we need to ensure that we don't directly connect. Okay? And that is where we introduce to you a very important organ that develops as a result of baby growing. I'd like to just very briefly introduce to you this organ. This organ is called the placenta. The placenta is very interesting. So the placenta works something like that. Mom's blood vessels maybe I draw a placenta separately first. Let me draw a placenta in black color. Okay, the placenta is a bag. What is in this bag? This bag is filled with mom's blood. So here's mom's blood vessels. Some blood vessels will reach in, fuse to this bag, and it will release mom's blood into this bag. So now this bag is filled with mom's blood. So that's first step. This is a placenta for those of us that's lost. Placenta. Now is the baby's problem. How should we connect baby such that it's not a direct connection? Okay, what's something like that? If I have a plastic bag, I think this plastic bag is perfect. So now imagine this is the placenta. Inside is filled with mom's blood. Okay, so this is mom's blood inside. So baby's blood vessels, imagine now my whole arm over here is one blood vessel. Baby's blood vessels has a lot of villi. What the villi will do is that it reaches in like that, okay, and kind of gets nutrients through diffusion. Gets waste across also via diffusion. So notice mom's blood vessel is not directly connected to baby's one. Instead, it has baby's blood vessels reaching into this bag, but it's not directly connected to the bag. Yeah? It's not directly connected to the bag. It's almost like what you learned in the chapter on renal excretory system, where you learn about the nephron wrapping around the glomerulus, kind of something like that. It's not a direct connection, but it allows diffusion to occur. I know you cannot see my fingers per se, but diffusion can occur between the membranes. So, I hope my markers are. So if I were to redraw this out, let me draw on a big scale first. Let's draw a quick indentation. Here is the placenta. Let me draw some indentations. Then baby's blood vessels. Kind of go in and out, in and out. Okay. So if I were to zoom into this structure, let me just erase this away. Here is the placenta. Just the bottom of the placenta, filled with mom's blood inside. You expect to find that there are some indentations. And baby's blood vessels will kind of reach in, make one loop, come out. They reach in, make one loop, come out. And then go back to baby. So it goes to the placenta, and then goes back to the baby. So any nutrient that it needs to get, it has to diffuse through the membrane of the placenta first, then into the blood vessels. Any waste product will have to diffuse out of the baby's blood vessel through the placental membrane into mom's blood. So the direction is not, the connection is not direct. It is an indirect exchange of substances. This solves a lot of problems. So mom's blood will never touch baby's blood. So very good. No issue of blood type. Okay, we solve this problem. Any waste, waste also won't get into baby now. Yeah, because I believe that this membrane layer is a little bit selective. Immune system, mom's white blood cells also this way won't be able to cross over. Blood pressure also good. Baby's blood vessel is not directly connected to mom's blood vessel, which is further up. So baby is quite safe. So in other words, the placenta is nothing more like a bag. And this bag is where baby's blood vessels will reach into and through diffusion get things or exchange things across. I'd like you to take note of certain blood vessels that you need to be aware of. The first one, umbilical artery. Second, umbilical vein. Because when we refer to the artery and vein, you have a conception of what it should carry. If you look at the umbilical artery, you may think that it's carrying oxygen nutrients to the baby. If you look at umbilical vein, you may think that it's carrying waste products away from the baby. But it's not the case. Because if I were to connect these blood vessels to baby's heart, we look at it this way, so it's connected to baby's heart. Think about it. The blood vessel carrying blood away from the baby, although we know of it as an artery, actually in this case, for the baby, it's carrying waste product. Whereas the vein that's coming back to the baby's heart, the vein, in this case carries the nutrients as well as the oxygen in the water. So when you look at the terminology for baby, you see umbilical arteries, umbilical vein, you just be very careful because it's not carrying the same composition of substances that you expect a human being would carry because we're disconnected from any other human being. Yeah, but for baby, the artery bringing blood away from the heart actually goes to the placenta. So it's actually carrying all the waste. For the vein, it carries the nutrients back. Yes? At one point in time, the blood vessels coming into your blood vessel to your belly button did connect to your blood vessels. No, it doesn't connect directly to the heart. It connects to other blood vessels that lead to the heart.
After you cut out the umbilical cord, then what is the belly button?
The belly button is a scar tissue. So admittedly, when you do the snip, there are some blood vessels that are now kind of open-ended. Right? Things to go out and come in. But that's why we put the clamp on. The clamp is put there so that the wound can heal and seal up, so that you don't end up losing any more things to the environment.
What is in the belly button after like the abdomen?
Nothing it's in the belly button. You try and you dig.
It was connected to the tube, right? So inside the body got a tube inside.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. Why are you thinking inside the baby that this umbilical cord, there's a tube that goes direct to your heart? It doesn't, So think of it as such. The blood vessels here, you have lots of blood vessels everywhere in your body, right? Some of the blood vessels just connect to some of these blood vessels. So if this connection is gone, then what will happen is that the wounds will heal up, and then there will be no more blood vessels that can lead out. Yes? I suppose so, yeah, I suppose so. And when that snip is made, the wound, the skin heals over. Yeah, that's why. What was the umbilical cord? Assuming you could feel the umbilical cord. Wouldn't it be amazing if someone didn't cut the umbilical cord? then just leave it for the rest of his or her life. Oh, not painful for the mom, because you see, the umbilical cord is not part of mom, correct? The umbilical cord is part of you. So actually, for someone that didn't cut the umbilical cord, I'm wondering whether you can live to adulthood without cutting. Then you will have this extra bag coming around, then you walk to school swinging around. So yeah. I don't know, I think it's the way it heals. Yeah, it's the way it heals. I know some belly button pop out and then some indented one. Yes? Okay, so Shabika asks, assuming baby can feel, let's say if I were to tickle the umbilical cord, whose tissue is this? Whose cells are these, the umbilical cord? It actually belongs to baby. Yeah? Umbilical cord belongs to you, not mom. So actually when you cut, you think mom will feel the pain, actually mom doesn't feel the pain. Actually it should be you. Maybe that's why you cry. Okay, but the snip is made and then after you heal and then it's what? Yeah, so I'm very curious now whether we could have sustained the umbilical cord. Yeah, yes? Right, okay, because Shami asked a good question. The placenta is connected to mom, right? Because the blood vessels of mom kind of bleed into this bag. So what happens during childbirth is that when the baby is ejected, placenta come out, then the blood vessels will be disconnected from mom. These blood vessels here will heal. It will heal. Okay? And then mom will be okay again. But after all, this is the endometrium layer. The endometrium layer, ladies every month eject anyway. So it's okay. Yeah? So mom is actually okay. And by the way, it's all capillaries, not major blood vessels. If it's major blood vessels, then you will lose a lot of blood. Okay? You know what placenta looks like? So if you scroll down, it's a placenta. So this is the bloody bag filled with mom's blood. Then this is the connection. So as I was saying, if no one snipped it, you'll be swinging this to school every day. Okay? But everyone's umbilical cord gets snipped. Okay? So for yourself, just take note where you get nutrients from. So as a student, I expect you to know this. You scroll down, I expect you to know number one, why we have the placenta. We have the placenta because of several important reasons. Blood pressure. Blood pressure cannot directly connect. Number two, blood group. These are the two main reasons. I do not disagree with all these sub-reasons, but the two main reasons are as such. And you're also expected to know what is exchanged between mom and baby. We get oxygen and nutrients from mom, and then mom will help us remove the metabolic waste products. Our kidneys not yet working. Yeah? We don't urinate in mom. Correct? And we don't poop in mom either. Instead, mom helps us remove all these products. In fact, how come we don't have any food? How come we don't have any food? No, we haven't ate anything yet, right? Poop is just undigested food. So if baby has not eaten anything, there's nothing in the digestive tract to poop out. But will we have waste products like urea or that stuff? Possible, because we are growing and there is metabolic waste products, and that needs to be removed. But our kidneys, not yet functioning yet. And even if we wanted to pee, cannot really pee into mom, right? And mom's belly will get bigger and bigger with a lot of urine. So instead, the pee, rather all the waste products will go through the umbilical cord to mom, and then that's where it will be removed. One interesting thing is that antibodies, which are protective proteins, can actually cross between mom and baby. And this is actually a good thing. Some antibodies can help beef up the baby's immune system. So rather than a bad thing, some good things can go through with regards to the immune system. So as a student, I expect you to know these two underlying pillars. How we get our nutrients, how we get rid of our waste products, and why we need a placenta. For the very reason because we really cannot have a direct connection. All these problems here. But if we ever ask you why you cannot directly connect up, I would like you to focus on blood pressure and blood type. These two are the more serious reasons why we cannot directly connect. Okay, I'll take a short pause here for you to consolidate your notes. Because if the disease or the bacteria or virus is small enough, it can still pass through the placenta. Yeah. Yes. Yes, baby can get high from drugs. So again, it boils down to how small this substance is. Just like at the glomerulus, big things cannot pass through, small things can, right? Same logic. If this substance is small enough, HIV virus, it can pass from mom to baby. So, sorry, you wanted to ask something. Correct. Yeah. Correct. The placenta is an intermediate blood pool where nutrients can be transferred from this pool of blood to baby. Waste products can be put into this pool and then go back into mom's circulatory system. Nothing stays in the placenta. The placenta is nothing more than a pool of blood. There is a transition point for nutrients and waste products. Yes? Good question. I have no idea. I'm not a doctor, so I didn't study this thing. Good question. But I think this one Googleable. I know some cultures they will eat their own placenta after baby comes out. Yeah. Is that cannibalism if you eat yourself? Okay, one last thing before we end this chapter. I mean, you've seen videos before, right? Babies floating around, right? Inside mom, like in outer space like that. Okay? But how is baby floating around? Well, because baby is actually encapsulated inside a structure called the amniotic sac. Amniotic sac. Inside is filled with fluid. This is called the amniotic fluid. This bag is very important. This fluid is very important. It helps to buffer from infection. A lot of the ladies here, I'm sure, clumsy sometimes, right? Walk around or sometimes they bump into something. Yeah? That cannot be, right? The baby inside receives a full shock impact from the mom, right? So that fluid helps to buffer, helps to absorb the shock. It's a shock absorber, like, in other words. Prevents baby from getting the direct impact. And so, actually one of the signs that it's almost time for birth is when this amniotic sac bursts. All the fluid comes out. And that's usually the first sign the baby is about to come out. Baby is getting too big for this amniotic sac. Another layman term for amniotic sac is a water bag. So I'm sure you all heard before in TVs, they say water bag has burst, right? And after that, fluids are coming out from mom. That's because, and baby definitely has to come out now. You don't want baby to take the first breath while still within mom, yeah? Yeah.
So it's like water breaking or is it very?
Oh, it's not scientific, but I would say it's layman. But it's accepted in the scientific community, yeah. But if you want to refer directly to the scientific name of this sac, it's amniotic sac. But most people refer to it as a water bag. Just like how testes, then got testicle, yeah. So I think it's just another name, it's acceptable.
During exam you can say water break.
Or, no. Can you say that the amniotic sac bursts and then after the amniotic fluid comes out? Okay? Last time in the army, I got tell you a story before. I'm not sure if I told before. When I was in the army, so all of us carry a water bag filled with water. This water bag is a tube that connected to our mouths. So as we hike inside the forest, doing our missions, we have this tube and then we drink water from it. Why are you laughing? It's real. Yeah? Then we walk. So every soldier has it. As we were climbing up and fighting, suddenly one of the soldiers screamed, "Water bag burst!" Then we turn around, we unplug, and then we quickly run up to our friend. Then he said, no. He received a phone call from his wife that her water bag burst. So after that, he quickly left the forest, then he went to meet his wife, and we got a phone message showing the newborn baby. So it's a quite precious moment, but forever remember that because he really just screamed, "Water bag burst!" And our first reaction in the forest is that we don't want him to dehydrate, so we all disconnect and we're like, "Come take our water." Okay? So we have come to the end. But since I talked about amniotic sac, there are cases where they manage to get the baby out while still in the amniotic sac. I'd like to show you a quick video. You can still see the amniotic sac. Baby is still inside, you can see the face. Right? You see the baby inside? Almost look like something in the cup. Okay, this video does not show the doctor poking and then screw everything out. It just stops here. Okay? So that's the story of you. And that is where we are almost closing the chapter. Yeah, I'm going to skip this last part. I think we can skip this last part. Where we ask you to compare how baby and human develops. I think it's quite straightforward. We have already went through it in class. So you do observe that the way we get nutrients is quite different from how plant babies get their nutrients. Because after all, a seed is no longer connected to the parent plant. Okay, so we're going to skip this last section. And we are at the end of this particular chapter. Okay, before I move on to the next chapter, just like to take some questions from all of you. If you are shy to ask your questions, you can key here, or if you want to ask me face to face, just ask the class up. Then you just ask the questions. Okay, before we close out this chapter. You can also use the time to consolidate some of your notes, because that's where we are now. We are at the end of the chapter. Okay, any questions for me? Any curious questions? I don't have all the answers.
Okay,
Yes.
All the mammals will develop them.
All mammals develop what? Yeah. So mammals, right? I think the thing about mammals is that we give birth to live young, correct? We give birth to live young. That means baby needs to develop fully or within mom. And so that means needs to get nutrients from mom. So mammals, the growth process is similar. Always have a placenta, amniotic sac, umbilical cord connected to the parent. But when you look at things like birds or reptiles, that's a different story. Yeah? So, perhaps let's look at that now. What about birds, reptiles? So we know the seed version, right? Okay, I use the same color codes. So let's say we have a seed. Inside the seed, you find the baby plant. And on top of that, you also find the triploid endosperm tissue that supplies nutrients. What about an egg? How in the world is the egg going to develop fully? This baby chick. Okay, the baby chick. I need to draw baby chick first. So let's look at the embryo. So this is baby chick. How in the world is this baby going to get nutrients? Disconnected from mom already, right? How? So see what you say. Egg white? Okay, actually the egg white is more like the amniotic fluid. So have you ever boiled egg before? After you boil it, you crack the shell. Then after when you peel the egg, notice that there's still one white layer of membrane that you can peel off. Yeah? So actually inside the egg, there's one more membrane. And then there's fluid. That fluid is like the amniotic fluid. Okay? So where does the embryo get nutrients from? The yolk, the most nutritious part. So I use the same color schema. The yolk. The yolk is where it gets nutrients from. And so actually if you look at the yolk actually is connected to the bird. Sorry? Okay, I also used to think that the yolk, right, is the chick. That the yolk will somehow like gain legs and the yolk is not the chick. The yolk will supply nutrients to the chick. And as the chick grows, the yolk shrinks. I mean that's why when a chick comes out from the egg, right, no more yolk, right? Because you start the yolk already. Next time you crack an egg, if you find that the yolk comes with this small little dot, have you seen before? It means that very likely fertilization has occurred. This is a zygote that has started already grow a little bit. That means you ate a pre-baby. Yeah? That means if you had the proper conditions at incubator, this one had a chance of developing fully into a chick. Yeah? Double yolk means that there's a good chance that there are two chicks that may develop. One yolk each room. It's like two placentas. Yeah? No, it meant that after the zygote is formed, the zygote may have split into two separate zygotes by mitosis, and then each one developed fully. Have you ever seen this video before of Japanese scientists that grew a chick in a cup? They cracked the egg. Oh, wow, you're going to see this, man. So, Japanese egg, chick. Okay, I'm not getting there. Grow. No, come on. Okay, maybe look at China's one. Okay, where? Okay, very good. This one. Look at this. So it is possible. Yeah, this one very small. Let's look at the bigger one. Let's look at this one. Then you can really see how the chick makes use of the yolk. You will see blood vessels go leading from the yolk into the baby. Okay, see the yolk over here? You should see the egg yolk shrink. So I ask you all, have you ever seen this little dot of your egg yolk before? Yeah, if you have, yeah. Have Have you ever seen blood vessels in the egg yolk before? If you saw a little bit, that means it's really starting to grow. See the blood vessels? Extracting nutrients from the yolk. Yeah, I told you right. Actually, at the very beginning of all life, you all look the same one. So look at this baby chick. Look just like us when we were young. You see, it connects also to the baby's belly. Okay, do not try this at home. You do not have the right equipment. Very, very little yolk left. Baby is gonna almost done. Look like strawberry. Okay, you see the membrane, and baby chick takes its first gas from air. Interesting, a chick that never hatched. So we look at several ways babies can develop. In plants and in eggs, there is an external nutrient pouch of some sort. But for mammals, we get the nutrients from mom. Mom needs to continuously eat so that baby, and breathe so that baby gets whatever it needs to get. Okay, any curious questions? How Yang asks, can you extract a sperm cell from a plant and fuse it with a human egg or vice versa? Answer is can, but most likely it will not form a zygote because it needs to have the correct number of chromosomes. Humans have 23, plant sperms or eggs likely will not contain this number. So numbers need to match up. Numbers don't match up, two halves cannot become one. So you ask, if pregnant with twin baby, is there 2 placentas? Then a triplet, then 3. It's a great question. So I think, I also researched this before, I think it depends on what kind of twins. If I'm not wrong, twins can be within the same amniotic sac sharing 1 placenta, or they can be in 2 amniotic sacs each with their own placenta. And I think it boils down to whether you are an identical twin or non-identical. Non-identical, you came from 2 separate eggs, fused through fertilization separately. So each one of you implant yourself different places, developed separately. But if you came from that same zygote, there's a chance that you may end up sharing the same placenta, but different umbilical cords connected to the same placenta. So I think it depends on that. So when it comes to triplets, I think again boils down to what kind of triplets. And therefore, if you think about it, if you look at puppies or like kittens, you know when one time come out, right, got like 5 or 6 one. That one I don't know biologically inside what it looks like, whether there are many amniotic sacs or everyone's swinging around in the same amniotic sac. But you can imagine that there will be some issues. If you have so many babies within the same amniotic sac, can you imagine if they play around and start swirling around each other, their umbilical cords start coiling around each other. Yeah? That being said, actually umbilical cords can be a danger to yourself also. There are a lot of cases where babies die within the mom because umbilical cord strangles the baby. Very playful play around, swing around, then after it cross around the neck. So it needs to be detected fast, if not baby strangulates itself. Okay, how do some people have 9 babies? Okay, usually people have 9 babies is because they were trying to get babies through the test tube way. It's not the test tube way. They're trying to get babies through the in vitro way, where they separately get sperms and eggs from mom. They get eggs from mom, get sperms from dad. They fertilize them outside of mom. After that, they put back as many zygotes as possible to see which one succeeds. Often, it fails. That's why they need to put a lot. But sometimes, if all succeed, 9 times baby. Okay? but it's a great stress on mom, yeah? How can you supply 9 human beings inside? Shreya asked, how do doctors know which baby to take out first? Is if there is twin or triplets? Good question. I do not know. I suppose it's whichever baby goes to the opening first. Yeah, I don't know how the doctors decide. But if you notice, baby needs to come out head first. There is a danger if baby comes out leg first. Think about it, if you come out leg first, then just think about it, your arms. Your arms are not that easy for you to raise it, right? So if you come out leg first, can you imagine you get stuck inside? Like, it's like a manhole, then you just then you get stuck. Right? You get stuck inside mouth. Second thing, let's say you get past this stage and somehow you kept your arms together and you came out. Your head out. Can you imagine the vaginal opening, start around the head, pull some more, then you just disconnect. So head needs to come out first. Okay? Head needs to come out first. So if you look at, even in the animal kingdom, childbirth, it is always the head that comes out first. It's very dangerous for the legs to come out first. And just now, the video, what they were showing, they're not showing the doctor pulling the head out. It is trying to help ease the baby out. Any more questions? Okay, before we close out this chapter. I particularly like this chapter because number one, it's relatable, keeps you informed. And this is our national need. Everybody, I know our birth count very low. But I'm not sure if this is exciting you all or putting you off. Okay? Alright, we're going to end this chapter. I'm going to quickly introduce the next chapter so that we can start to ease into the next chapter quite happily. I'd like everyone now to download the notes for inheritance. You download the notes for inheritance. Yes, I'm going to pause it. Okay, now you should be able to see it. This chapter deliberately comes after reproduction because now that baby has formed, actually what are we inheriting? We don't inherit money, property. That's not the first thing we inherit. The first thing we inherit is DNA. We get one set of DNA from mom, one set from dad. That's the very first thing we inherit. And that is what the chapter is all about. Inheritance. What are we inheriting? A lot of students like this chapter because there's very little memory work in this chapter. We expect you instead to solve puzzles, genetic puzzles. Puzzles of what kind? Puzzles of the kind where I ask you, if you have blood type A, out of all these parents who provide you, which parent set do you think is the result? Or which couple are the parents? Or maybe we may give you a set of parents, we say that these two parents have blood type A, the other parent has blood type B. Can you solve this puzzle? Can you find out the baby, what kind of blood type it may have? So puzzles like that. So some students like this chapter a lot because it's about solving puzzles. You understand how to solve the puzzles, it's quite a fun challenge. And very little memory work for this chapter. Everyone got your notes? Okay? If you got your notes, may I get you to go to A. For the first part of our lesson, introduction, I'd like you to understand, these are the few learning outcomes we're going to go through. The first two learning outcomes are learning outcomes more for in class rather than for your exams. We cannot quite test you the first two. Yeah? But I want you to appreciate how the science came to be. How do we realize how we inherit DNA from our parents? C, D, and E are the ones that we expect you to know. But C, we expect you to be able to describe and justify the solutions to these puzzles using correct vocabulary. And you find that the vocabulary is not very complicated. D and E, we expect you to be able to predict the results from reading. Okay? And so really it's about puzzles. Last but not least, explain why sometimes what you predict to be from your puzzles does not end up in real life. Today we're just going to start off with learning outcomes A and B. Just a very quick introduction to this chapter. And to understand and appreciate this chapter, okay wait, I need some background music. Okay, to appreciate this chapter, I'd like to take you back in time. 1864. Okay, with your notes, okay, this is one of the few times I don't want you to look at your notes yet. Okay, don't look at your notes so that I can take you back in time and experience what this brilliant biologist did. This man over here, his name is Gregor Mendel. You must know his name. If you're going to be a biologist, this is one of the scientists' names that you must know. Because often he is touted as the father of all genetics. You also know other famous scientists' names by now. For example, Messelson and Stahl. Yeah? They are the one that realized how semi-conservative replication takes place. Gregor Mendel is another one of those big names, like Charles Darwin. He really solved one of life's greatest mystery. Believe it or not, well, there's a lot of saliva that came out. Believe it or not, he's a monk. An Austrian monk. A monk that worked in a monastery, and in the monastery he had free time. So as you expect, what old people do in their free time? They garden. He did a lot of gardening. But it is through his gardening that he discovered the science and the mystery as to how we inherit characteristics from our parents. Today in the introduction, I would just like to introduce you to Gregor Mendel as well as his gardening experiments, because his gardening experiments is really what anchored us and our understanding in modern day. So let's take you back in time. Gregor Mendel, this particular Austrian monk, in his many years, 10 years in fact, very free this guy. In 10 years, he cross-pollinated 30,000 pea plants. What do I mean by pea plants? So I'm sure you all have eaten peas before. Peas come in a pot. That's what Mendel worked with. He bred 30,000 pea plants over many generations over a span of 10 years. But in doing so, he discovered the mysteries of how we inherit DNA from our parents. And so I'd like to take you back in time to what Mendel did. Long time ago, when Mendel conducted his experiments, he realized, like doing magic show. Okay, he realized that the pea plants had certain characteristics, and the characteristics came in contrasting traits. For example, he realized some pea plants grew purple flowers, some pea plants grew white flowers. Some pea plants, the peas are yellow, some pea plants, the peas are green. Some pea plants are tall, some are short. So he realized that the traits kind of came in contrasting traits. So he was very curious, and so he did his first set of experiments. In his first set of experiments, he found two kinds of populations. One population of pea plants were purple flowers. Another population, just white flowers. And I'd like to introduce to you a word called true breeding. The word true breeding means that if I were to take the plant and I self-pollinate it, like inbreeding, you will end up with purple plants still. Okay, that's what true breeding means. In other words, it's like pure breed. Okay? So this is what Mendel did. He found two populations of pea plants, same species. Same species means can crossbreed. Okay, same species, just that there is a purple variety and a white variety. Both purebred. And so he did his first experiment. He decided that he wanted to explore what would happen if he crossbred purple pea plants, purple flower pea plants and yellow flower pea plants. So I went to Daiso, and the day when I went to Daiso, I saw some flowers. Then I was like, wow, this looks exactly like the lesson I'm going to put up. So I went to buy them. Okay, just so that we have something to look at. Okay, so purebred purple flowered plants and purebred white flowered plants. This was the first parent generation. Okay, parent generation. So he took some of the pollen grains, and then he dusted them on each other. Cross-pollinate. After that, the seeds that came out, he took the seeds and he planted the seeds into the ground, and he let the seeds grow into full plants. So I want you to participate in this poll. Imagine now you are Mendel. What do you predict the color of the flowers to be from this first generation that came from this crossbreeding? Okay, so I say again, he crossbreed purple and white. He planted the seeds into the soil. What do you think this first generation of flowers will turn out to be? Because Mendel had his own prediction. Okay? Let's view the votes. Let's view the votes. Purple and white flowers. You bred them together. What do you think will rise? Okay, so we see many have chosen light purple. Then there blue. Then suddenly purple kind of jumped up. Very few chose white. Very curious why very few chose white. Have everyone voted? Okay. Let's go around to have a quick ask why you chose these examples. Okay, who chose that it's going to turn out purple? Okay? We just want to hear from you why you think it may turn out purple. Shreya?
I just don't think that the colors in this mix like combine.
Okay.
I was thinking maybe purple or white.
Okay, so Shreya says she thinks that color in genetics probably cannot mix one. So perhaps then color cannot mix, then how come you chose the purple one over the white one?
I don't know, it caught my eye first. I just
Okay, it caught your eye, so perhaps it's the purple one. Yeah. Who else chose purple? Okay. Finya, did you read up ahead? You really didn't? Because I asked you, then you will tell the correct answer. Okay, Finya, why you chose purple?
the color is darker.
Okay, color is darker.
Then right, it's like probably like white one. I don't know. Cause like my logic is that then if my father is blonde and my mother is black hair and I still have black hair, then the color will purple.
Ah, okay. So are you saying that this color is like more prominent?
Yeah.
Okay. Then maybe it's like the absence of color. That's why it's white. Okay. Who chose a blend in between? Okay. Let's hear from the crowd. Okay, why do you choose blend?
Because genetics from both.
Okay, we need a mix from both. After all, we learned that we get haploid, right? Haploid sperm, haploid egg fused together, you get a diploid zygote. If you get half from each parent, and one parent purple, one white, could it be that offspring is a blend of both? Actually, a lot of people in that time felt that this was the case. Blend of both. Charmaine? Okay, same as Rohit. What about white? Who chose white? Sissy, why white?
I thought it's like both purple and white flower.
Oh, okay. So you're suggesting that maybe the offspring has both purple and white. Oh, okay. So maybe out from the ground you may find some purple, some white. Okay. So this is what Mendel saw. Okay, as the seeds grew and the first flowers bloom, this was what he saw. His whole field of flowers, he observed that they all were purple. Yeah? Everywhere he looked, despite crossing purple and white, they all came out purple. Okay? But he did not stop there. Is it really? It is. He brought daylight. Okay, Mendel did not stop there. He went on to do a second set of experiments. But it's the second set of experiments that really blew his mind and really helped us understand genetics. Because this is what he did next. He took some of the pollen grains from these purple flowers and then he go and self-pollinate. Okay? Self-pollinate, take the pollen grains, self-pollinate, in other words, self-fertilize. So it's purple or purple. Okay? Then the seeds that came out, again, he planted it into the soil, onto a bare patch of ground. Okay, I'd like to involve you in the second round of poll. What do you think Mendel saw? in the second round of growing. Second gen, so what do you think the second gen came out to be? Inbreeding, self-fertilize. Wow, this time around everyone kind of a spread. Who chose A this time? Who chose A? Okay. Okay, I would like to listen to, I'm going to use Shafika Shermaine, because Shermaine kind of changed. Just now you went from a blend, then now you're choosing purple. Why? Oh, okay, you chose purple and white. Okay, why? I see. Okay, so Shermaine says, even though first generation was all purple, but he inherited genes from mom and dad that were white and purple, right? So although we don't see this generation, could it be that it reappears in this generation? Okay? Shabika, what do you think? White, purple? Oh, so purple and white. Why? Okay, he has both the purple and white genes because came from mom and dad. But it did not show in his generation. Could it be it reappears in the second generation? Okay? Who chose B, a blend? Rohit? Why did you choose blend? I'll come to Henry Raw.
I think it's like a slow evolution, like after generation.
Right, okay. Maybe it's a slow evolution. Maybe generation by generation, you slowly start to see it come together here in between. Henry? Okay, same theory that perhaps over generations, these two colors start to blend. The more generations you go, the more blended you will be. Okay? Who chose light? Who chose white? White only?
I said the ratio will be really big. There will be like a lot more white colors.
Okay, interesting that you got in ratio. Why more white?
Because it's probably just like skip a generation.
Okay.
Now white.
Oh, okay. So maybe white skipped a generation. So now it's its turn to shine. Okay. So we heard from some views on the ground. So Mendel went to his field and he surveyed his field. And this was what he saw. On his field, he saw a field of flowers. Okay? He found that 1/3 of the flowers in the field were white. Sorry, 1/4. 1/4. 3/4 of the flowers in the field were purple. It is this exact ratio. 3/4 of the flowers in this field were purple. And then 1/4 were white. In other words, the flowers are 3:1 ratio. 3 purple is to every white. This was the ratio he saw. The most interesting part was that he repeated this experiment with many other contrasting traits. He didn't stop at purple and white flowers. He went on to yellow and green peas, whether the peas were round or wrinkly. And with every experiment he did, he always found that the first generation would end up with just one trait. And if he inbred it, the second generation was 3:1, 3:1, 3:1. And then he felt that perhaps he had stumbled across something. He documented everything in his journal, published it, but it didn't take time. Everyone thought it was a joke. Because everyone believed in that time that blending genetics was most likely the case. That means if white and purple, you will likely get a blend of both. That is what everyone believed. So they dismissed his theory. So actually his stack of reports only got surfaced again much later down the road, when someone discovered it and felt that there was meaning. So actually his hard work didn't pay off when he was first doing it. I also brought some samples today that I'd like to share with all of you. So I got my mom, who was working in China for a period of time, to go and search for peas. No, I did not ask her to go to the field to go and get the peas. Instead, I got her because I realized that Singapore don't quite sell yellow colored peas. But she said in China, she observed when she goes to the market, she could find yellow peas. So I taught her to go and get yellow peas and green peas, which I'd like all of you to have a look. And interestingly enough, if you look very carefully, I've also managed to find peas that are wrinkly and smooth. So later, when you get this case, you can open up can touch the piece and have a look. Some of the pieces are green, some are yellow, some are wrinkly, some are round. Just want you to observe some of the things Mendel saw. Yeah, pass down, pass down. Actually, I got a lot more. Okay, come. Everyone have a look. Everyone have a look. Okay. Only one of them can open up one. It's okay, it's okay. Okay, the rest are taped up. For the one that can open up, then you can have a look. You can play with it and touch it. Okay, some are wrinkly. You want to open up and touch for yourself. You find out a piece. I see one here. You got off? It is a yellow wrinkly. You managed to find all four? Quite cool, huh? These are two other traits that Mendel worked with. Okay? So, really today I just wanted to start with a quick introduction. Tomorrow, we will try to solve this mystery. What in the world is happening that results in this 3:1 ratio in the second generation? And that's the mystery we'll solve tomorrow. Two more minutes, not enough time. Okay, any more P samples? Okay, that's all for today. You can consolidate your notes. Today is just an introduction. Tomorrow we will dive deeper into this chapter. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, yeah, correct. So that you all can roll it around and look. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you, class.